The sound of Emily's laugh cut through the noise of the fair, high, clear, and completely unguarded. I was standing at the ticket booth, counting out change for a small bag of cotton candy, when I realized the sound was drifting farther away. I turned instinctively, my eyes skimming past the bright flash of carousel horses, the line at the food truck, the clusters of families scattered across the grass. That's when I saw her. Emily was running, not just wandering, running, weaving through the crowd with the determined energy of a child who knew exactly where she was going. And she wasn't running to me. She was running to a man. He was standing near the carousel entrance, hands casually tucked into the pockets of his dark slacks, his head tilted slightly as if he'd been waiting for her. When Emily was just a few steps away, she shouted, "Dad!" loud enough for heads to turn. The word hit me like a cold shock. Before I could move, the man crouched, opening his arms, and Emily threw herself into them. The way he caught her, his hands steady on her back, his chin brushing the top of her head, told me this wasn't their first time. My body reacted before my mind caught up. I cut through the crowd, muttering "excuse me" to strangers I barely registered, my pulse thudding in my ears. "Excuse me," I said again, louder this time, when I reached them. He straightened, still holding Emily. Up close, I took in the details: neatly trimmed dark beard, pressed light blue shirt, an expensive silver watch that glinted under the afternoon sun. His posture was relaxed, too relaxed for a man who should have been confused or apologetic. "You must be Luna," he said evenly, like my name was something he'd rehearsed. Emily looked up at me, her eyes bright and trusting. "Mommy, this is Dad." My mouth went dry. "Your dad lives in Spain, Emily." The man's eyes stayed locked on mine. "I'm an old friend of her father's," he said smoothly. "We go way back." I slid my hand into Emily's and gave a gentle but firm tug. "We need to go." Emily resisted, her small fingers tightening around his. "But I see him all the time, Mommy," she whispered, her voice almost conspiratorial, like she was letting me in on a happy secret. My grip on her hand didn't loosen until we were out of earshot. My mind was already spinning, my breath uneven. All the time? What exactly did she mean by that? All the time. I repeated, crouching in front of Emily once we were home. I kept my tone steady, even though my pulse hadn't settled since the fair. "Sweetheart, when do you see him?" She was sitting at the kitchen table, swinging her legs against the chair. "After school. Sometimes we get ice cream. Aunt Claire takes me." The words landed heavy. Aunt Claire, my sister. I tried to keep my voice calm. "Emily, why didn't you tell me before?" Her small shoulders lifted in a shrug. "I didn't think I was supposed to. Aunt Claire says it's a surprise." A sick, tightening sensation formed in my chest. I called Claire immediately. She answered on the second ring, her voice casual, like nothing was wrong. "Why is Emily telling me you've been taking her to see some man?" I asked without preamble. "That's David," she said. "He's harmless." Thought Emily might like to know more about her dad. "Her dad lives in Spain," I snapped. "You're overreacting," Claire replied, her tone flattening into irritation. "You've kept her in a bubble for too long." My fingers tightened around the phone. "If you ever take her to see him again, without me knowing, we are done." There was a pause on the line, then a clipped, "noted." The next afternoon, I left work early. I parked halfway down the street from the school, my eyes fixed on the front gate. Children poured out in groups, laughter and backpacks bouncing. Then Emily appeared, holding Claire's hand. They walked together toward the corner, and there he was, David, leaning casually against a black car. He smiled as soon as he saw them. Claire's hand left Emily's, passing her forward without hesitation, like this had happened many times before. They were talking, laughing. Emily looked comfortable. Too comfortable. I gripped the steering wheel, 1,000 questions forming at once. Why was my own sister doing this? And who was David, really? I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Emily running into David's arms. The ease in her smile. The way Claire stood there like nothing was wrong. By morning, my patience was gone. I drove to Claire's apartment without calling first. She opened the door in leggings and a sweatshirt, holding a mug of coffee. "We need to talk," I said. She stepped aside without comment, and I followed her into the kitchen. "Why are you taking Emily to see David?" I demanded. Claire's eyes flicked away. "Because he told me things about your ex. About the kind of man he is. He said Emily deserved to know more." "More?" I asked, my voice rising. "She's 7 years old, Claire. What could she possibly need to know from a stranger?" Claire set her mug down. "He's not just some guy. He's a lawyer. He's investigating your ex-husband for fraud. He said Emily might have information that could help." I stared at her. "You let a man you barely know question my daughter about her father's personal life?" Claire crossed her arms. "You've kept her in the dark about too much. I'm just balancing it out." It was more than betrayal. It was arrogance. That afternoon, I called David myself and told him we'd meet in public. I picked a busy cafe near the courthouse. He was already there when I arrived, seated by the window. "I didn't want to alarm you," he began, his tone calm. "Your ex is connected to a shell company that's under federal investigation. I thought Emily might know things. Passwords, patterns, anything." "She's a child," I said. "I asked harmless questions," he insisted. "Nothing to scare her." I leaned forward. "You went through my sister to get to her. That's not harmless. That's calculated." David didn't answer, but the faint smirk on his face told me he didn't regret it. As I left, a thought gnawed at me. If Claire could justify this, what else might she justify in the name of her own agenda? And if David already had Emily's trust, how far would he go next? The next morning, I made my decision. No more warnings. No more hoping they'd just stop. I went to the school in person, spoke with the principal, and gave them a list of people who were not allowed to pick Emily up, Claire and David at the very top. I added Sarah, my neighbor, as the only alternate. They agreed, noting everything in writing. After that, I drove straight to the police station. I sat across from an officer, hands clasped, and told them everything: the fair, the after-school meetings, the conversations Emily had repeated to me. I gave them dates, times, even the cafe where I'd met David. The officer's expression hardened. "You did the right thing coming in now," he said. "We'll open an investigation. In the meantime, keep a record of any contact from either of them." By the time I got home, I felt lighter, not calm, but certain. I had acted. That evening, there was a knock at my door. Through the peephole, I saw Claire. I opened the door just enough to make it clear she wasn't welcome inside. "You can't keep me from her forever," she said. I kept my voice steady. "Watch me." Her eyes narrowed. "You think you're protecting her, but you're not. You're just protecting yourself from the truth." I didn't take the bait. She's my daughter, and I decide who's safe for her. Claire's jaw tightened, but she didn't argue. She turned and walked down the hall without looking back. 2 hours later, my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. A moment later, a text came in: "We are not done." For a second, I just stared at it. Then I saved the number under a single word: David. I put my phone down, locking the screen. My heart was still pounding, but it wasn't fear this time, it was readiness. Whatever comes next, I'm going to be ready